Hello and welcome, Season 4, Episode 1, I Could Never Be. It's been a little over a month since we've been back here on the Popcorn Talk Network. I've missed you guys. I've missed sharing some motivation and some inspiration, but we are back and a whole lot more of that coming here in Season 4. If you are new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. You guys, this show is really just meant to inspire you, help you live your best life. If you're trying to pursue something in your career, no matter what that career is, we want to be able to help you get to that next level. The show I Could Never Be really is founded because when you start out at anything, you look at someone at the top and you say, I want to be this person. But then that little voice in the back of your mind says, oh, I could never be that person because they had more money, they knew people, their past was easier than mine, they weren't experiencing what I'm experiencing. And guess what? That's a lie. That voice in your head is lying to you, and you can do that, and you can do all these things, and the people that you look up to, I guarantee they face the same struggles. If we could just count the number of people that we've had on the show who have been living on couches or living in cars or broke or homeless or just almost gave up. They were this close to giving up, and you know what they all had in common? They didn't. They pushed forward, they kept going, and now they are achieving their dreams and achieving success, and you can do that exact same thing, and that's exactly what we're doing here on I Could Never Be on the Popcorn Talk Network. I always start off the show with some advice for a better life. Today, that advice is that life is not always meant to be understood. Sometimes it's just meant to be lived. A lot of times things will happen in your life and you'll say, why did that happen? And you take a deep dive in trying to analyze that and understand it, when guess what? Sometimes it's just meant to be the joy of life. Sometimes things just happen and you enjoy it, you get through it, you move on, and you move forward. And that's kind of what I'll say for today's advice for a better life. Is just some things just happen. Some things just happen. Just live, just enjoy, and move forward, and you'll be able to continue on your path of success. I guarantee that our guest today has experienced that sometimes, where she's wondering what's happening in her life and wondering why things are happening, but things have definitely worked out for the best for her. She is the lead guitarist for Beyonce, Queen Bee, as well as Kehlani. She went viral last year in Coachella when she was playing for almost 100,000 people. A solo with Beyonce on stage. Incredible. You listen to her song at the beginning of this. Please welcome Francesca Simone.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Episode 1, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you experienced that before, where sometimes things happen and you're like, why is this happening? And sometimes you can get bogged down?
Yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
And I know it's crazy, and we'll definitely talk about your career, and it seems great now. I mean, you're playing lead guitarist for Beyonce and Kehlani. I know you just released another video on your Twitter and Instagram with Machine Gun Kelly, which is crazy. That was an incredible experience, I'm sure, just playing one in a room with him.
Yeah, that was super fun.
And it's weird, and you think back of where you were several years ago. We'll talk about this, of almost changing your career path.
Yeah.
Which is wild. If you guys want to be able to follow Francesca Simone after the show, on Instagram at Francesca Simone, on Twitter, Simone on Guitar, certainly here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Very thankful to be here at the Popcorn Talk. We are live every single Monday, also available on Apple Podcasts. So you can subscribe there if you're in the car and you want to have something motivational to listen to, and at The Only MC on Instagram and on Twitter. What is, the biggest question that people will ask, oh, you play with Beyonce. What is that like to be the aura of being on stage with her for you, of playing in front of tens of thousands of people?
I mean, it's amazing. There's always that adrenaline rush that runs through your body, and it's like you just feel on top of the world, that experience was the best experience of my life, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of that.
And so we talked about Coachella playing there, but this was the whole Formation tour.
Yeah, I played Formation tour. I think that was 2016. And before that, I did Made in America and Global Citizen, and then I did Coachella.
Wow. Yeah. Is it surreal to look back at that, and I guess, do you realize, when you realize when you're on stage how many people that you're playing for, or do you zone out? Because I think you get on stage, there are tens of thousands of people out there.
It's honestly more nerve-wracking to play for 5-10 people than it is for 100,000 people, because you see the first 2 rows, and then after that it's just a sea of faces, and you don't realize how many people you're actually playing for, you know?
Was that a goal ever to, like, you grew up listening to Beyonce and being like, man, I would love to be able to do something with her?
Yeah, actually, it was definitely, like, she's always had a girl band, but I never really thought of myself like, oh, I want to play for her, but it kind of just, like, fell into my lap, and I was like, yo, definitely, of course, yeah, totally.
Of all the things that fall into your lap, that's one that you definitely run with.
Yeah, that was, like, my first gig, really. I went from playing in front of, like, 100 people to 100,000 people, so I kind of skipped the whole bar phase, you know?
Wow, that's incredible. And again, we're going to touch so much on your journey, but I want to start at the very beginning. I think you were like 10 years old, right, when you thought about guitar? You were at a Santana concert?
Yeah, I was about 11. My parents took me to see a Santana concert.
Taking it way back with Santana.
Yeah, I mean, I was always listening to him. So I think they played Santana for me when I was, you know, out of the womb. Like, just like, here you go. And so, I saw the Santana concert, and I just remember he came on stage and played one note, and it was like this one sustained long note, and I just started crying, and I was just like this little kid in the audience, and everybody's like, is she okay? Like, bawling, like, ah! And then I was just like, Mom, Dad, the only thing I want for Christmas is a guitar. And I told myself, like, in my head, yo, I'm gonna be on that stage one day. I don't know how, I'm just gonna do it, playing guitar. And at that point in my life, I'd never touched a guitar. So
were your parents musicians? Did they, I mean, you say you listened to Santana coming out the womb. Were they inspiring you eventually maybe into a musical path?
My dad is a music enthusiast. He's not a musician. My mom is she studied classical piano.
Okay.
And so she kind of taught me when I was 3, and we started, you know, having fights and stuff, you know, I was like rebelling and stuff. And then I got a piano teacher, and then I just started playing classical piano, and then when I found guitar, I'm like, this is it. This is
it. Did you start off, because obviously you play now electric guitar, we see the photo up there of you with, that's a beautiful guitar. What kind of guitar is that?
That's a PRS, Paul Reed Smith.
Wow.
And my neighbor, actually, Nevin Abini, painted it.
That's incredible looking.
She's amazing.
Yeah, for those who are listening on iTunes, if you're here on YouTube, you're seeing a lot of pictures that we'll be going through, which are incredible. And yeah, that's an incredible guitar.
Thank you.
That was not your first guitar.
No, definitely not.
What was your first? Do you remember your first guitar?
Yeah, it was an Ibanez, purple Ibanez.
Was it electric? Was it acoustic?
Electric. Yeah, I didn't go the acoustic route. I actually didn't play an acoustic guitar till like much later, you know. Really? After I'd really learned, like, soloing and...
When you're young playing guitar, I mean, people who are young have small hands.
Yeah.
How do you grasp a guitar? It's heavy at that age?
I don't know how I did it. I was like, I'm playing this thing. I don't know. That's the bottom line. So I had, like, my fingers were bleeding. I had calluses. I mean, I still have calluses, but, like, you know, to develop them... you know, skin everywhere, not a pretty sight. But of course I took pictures and I showed my friends. I'm like, look guys, here are my calluses. They're like, ew, that's so gross. But,
was it a daily thing of you practicing then? I mean,
oh yeah, I was like, once I started getting into guitar, I kind of just like, there goes my social life. Like, I actually just like, when I came home every day, I would do my homework and then I would get on guitar, practice guitar, and then my parents were like, okay, it's time to go to sleep. I don't know, like maybe 9, 10 or whatever, and I would go to sleep and set my alarm for 2 a.m. every night, and I would get up from 2 to like 5:30 and just practice, and every time I heard a creak, I'm like, oh, do they hear me? Because like they didn't know, I thought they would get mad at me if they saw that I was like practicing in the middle of the night, and then I would go back to sleep for like, you know, an hour and then get up and go to school.
Were you tired then going to school?
I was exhausted, but I was like, man, that was great. I learned a lot last night. Like,
how do you, for people who don't know guitar, how do you start with guitar? Are you practicing chords? Do you hear a song? Something on the water, I think, dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
dun. That's Smoke on the Water?
Well, for me, I came from playing classical piano, so when I started playing guitar, my mom said, I don't want you, like, reading music or anything. So I learned everything by ear. So I would just, like, I literally had probably, like, 300 Santana songs on my iPod, and that's all I listened to. And just transcribed all of them by ear, and, yeah.
Were you playing in high school? Was that...
Yeah.
Do high schools
Yeah.
Did they have electric guitar?
Yeah. So
Really?
when I went into high school, I started studying jazz a lot, and like George Benson, Pat Martino, Pat Metheny, and I had a mentor there, Brian Pardo, who kind of just like became like a really close like mentor to me, and just like practicing jazz all the time. I got in like a lot of the jazz groups in the Bay Area and studied the hell out of jazz. But I just felt like that, like the straight ahead jazz path wasn't for me. So then when I went to Berklee College of Music, after that I started studying a lot of like pop and
when you're a
stuff.
kid in school, there's lots of distractions, I feel. Was that the same with you, or how did you stay focused at that age of just constantly playing? I
was so motivated, like so determined. I just like, you could never catch me without my guitar. I was just always with it. I guess it was just that like that fiery passion inside of me. I was just like, I have to do this. I was always in the music rooms, like lunch breaks, you know, after school, before school.
Band camp?
I don't think I did a lot of band camps, actually. But during the summer, I would practice like 12 hours a day. So I guess that was my camp. I don't know.
Well, it got you into Berklee. Why Berklee?
Berklee, because it had a lot of different music programs. The other schools that I applied for were like straight ahead jazz, and I just saw myself doing more, you know, pop, like funk, R&B, soul stuff.
Nice. And you went there for, I want to dive into this because you often with some in the entertainment field or acting, I think it's the struggle for a lot of people of going to school versus just doing it.
Yeah.
Tell me about that struggle, because I know after a couple semesters you left Berklee because it was like, I just want to do this, and you can. Talk about that struggle of, hey, good training is good, education is important, but you can also just play and do it.
Yeah. It was kind of hard because I went to, well, it was good. I think Berklee was really good for like the connections and for the people that I met there and the teachers. But eventually I just felt like I just want the real life experience. Like, why are we here in school? Unless you're studying like law or like therapy or like, you know, especially in the music industry, I just think that it's a matter of just getting out there and playing. You know, it's like when I went on tour, it's like, this is what people go to school for, you know? So it's like, why not just take the tour, you know? So, but it was hard because I went to a very like academic school, and so everybody graduates college, everybody graduates high school, you know, and so I'm kind of like over here on tour, like, oh, hey guys. But I definitely want to finish school at some point. I just don't think right now is the time to do it.
Well, I mean, with everything that's going on, you're getting the experiences that people go to school to try to get.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, another guy that we had in here a couple seasons ago had an opportunity to either go to school or go to Vegas to play in a show, and he chose the show.
Yeah.
And it works out because you're getting the experience of playing on stage.
Absolutely, yeah.
How long did it take you to kind of make that decision?
After my second year at Berklee, I don't know, I had these gut feelings, and I always follow my intuition. Even if I don't know quite why, I'll always follow my intuition, even if it's like really scary. And so I told myself after the second year, I'm just going to go to LA and try to, you know, get into the industry in LA. So I was on my cousin's couch for 4 months. Shout out to Brian.
Wow.
That was rough because I only knew one person out here.
Was that Brian?
No.
No wonder it wasn't even Brian.
One person besides my cousin Brian.
I only knew one person. It was not the person whose couch I was living on.
Okay, so I guess I knew two people.
There you go. Okay.
Two people. And so it's, you know, coming to any city, especially LA, where everybody's trying to make it, it's really hard, you know, like immersing yourself into the industry. And so.
How old were you at this point? 20?
Like
21?
No, actually, I was like 18. I was like 18, 19. I was probably 19.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was rough.
What were your parents saying of dropping out of a school like you get into Berklee?
God.
Yay, that's awesome. You're going to do really well. By the way, I want to leave Berklee.
Yeah. It wasn't their first option for me. But I think they're coming around to it, and you know, they've always been super, super supportive of me and my music career, and I think they understand now that like that's what was best for, you know, my life path.
I like how you said they're coming around to it. Not they have come around to it after I've traveled the world on world tours and played in front of 10,000 people. That's not enough. We're still coming around to it.
Yeah. I mean, no, I think I mean they're super supportive. No matter what it is, they're super supportive. I think that in any industry, especially in any industry, but also like parents also want their kids to always have a backup plan in case anything goes wrong, you know? And so I kind of live my life not that way. I kind of say, well, it's either this or shit, I don't know. Like so I feel like I just, again, like I always just like follow my intuition, and that's what my intuition was saying, and I did it. So
I heard from an actor, Doug Jones, is a friend of mine. He said sometimes if you have too much of a fallback plan, you'll fall back sooner.
Yeah.
And so it's important sometimes not to have a fallback plan.
Yeah.
Because then if there's no safety net, you got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out, yeah.
Is that how you felt on that 4 months on the couch?
Yeah, I did, and I was pushing, but...
What were you doing? Were you trying to get in auditions in that 4 months?
I've always wanted to, like, create and, like, make my own music, which is another reason why I left Berklee, because I felt like, along with, like, the homework and all the study that I was doing, I was getting called a lot for, like, guitar gigs, and, like, people were like, play guitar for this and this and this, and I was like, okay, cool, but I really want to, like, sing more, I want to write more, I want to do that more, just as much as I practice guitar, I want to do that, and so, it was kind of hard for me, and that's why I kind of made that break and said, okay, when I go to LA, I want to immerse myself more in like studio sessions and you know, songwriting sessions and stuff. And so, but it was hard to come to LA and do that because people saw me as a guitarist, and I hadn't really played for anybody, so I didn't really have the credibility. So I was just like, this girl coming to LA, I play guitar.
Yeah. Hey
guys, you know, and so so that was really difficult, and I got pretty depressed. Living on a couch as well.
Was this a big couch? Was this a 3-section couch? Was it a sectional? Was it a love seat? It was like a love seat.
Yeah. It was like like one of those couches, and then it kind of comes out a little bit like a little L.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Wow. Living out of a suitcase? Did you even have a...
No, I had some of my stuff. I mean, where was I? I guess I was in Boston. So I shipped some of my stuff over, like my guitars and everything. But no, I had probably like 4 or 5 guitars, and just a lot of clothes. I think I still have some clothes at Brian's that I need to go pick up.
Brian, she'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Was it, I guess, expectation versus reality? What did you expect when you moved out versus, obviously, we talked about the reality. What were your expectations?
Just to go to sessions and hopefully get connections and somehow like write more and sing more and play my guitar, and really I wanted to find my my sound as an artist.
What does that mean?
Just like, you know, you listen to any artist and you're like, you can tell right away, oh, that's so and so or that's so and so, just by, you know. And I feel like I had that with guitar, but I wanted to find that with like my songwriting. And
how long does that take to find?
I think we're always finding it. I'm still finding mine. I feel like maybe it's not like oh guys, I found my sound here, you know. It's like,
guess what I did today? Found my sound.
Right. I think it's more, you know, it's just growing and developing and learning and figuring out what you like and what you don't like, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and kind of just trying to, you know, put yourself out there.
You left LA and went back.
Yeah, I did. So after like 4 months, I was really down. And I went to see my mom in DC, and I told myself, you know, I'm gonna just let everything go. Like, I'm not gonna think about work. I'm not gonna push any harder. I'm just gonna go enjoy some time with my family. And a day later, I got a call from Beyonce's music director.
Wow. What did that part mean? Were you putting out content?
Yeah, so I was putting out like Instagram videos of me playing back when Instagram had like 15-second guitar, like 15-second
when life was so
videos.
much easier. When you
Yeah,
didn't
now
have to
you
fill
have to
60
like
seconds,
make a whole minute video.
now
like,
we
what?
have IGTV. It's like the pressure of doing longer content.
Right.
No, I just want 6-second
Come on,
vines.
Instagram.
Come on.
Yeah, so I had a video called, it was a cover of Treasure, and that went viral, and one of my fans took it to Facebook, and that went super viral. And I just got like a lot of DMs, and one of them was her MD, and he's like, let's just stay in touch. And so when I went to DC, he called, and at the time I didn't actually know it was her music director. So I was just like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Opportunity? What do we got?
Yeah. I'm like, let's see if I can make some time for this now.
You went back to DC. What was the thought ever in your mind of doing something other than music, or
No.
not playing guitar, or doing something else in music?
I always knew that, like, again, like, I don't have a plan B, so I knew it was going to be something in music. I just felt like I had hit a wall, and I just needed to kind of step back and just breathe, you know? Sometimes I feel like, you know, in the industry, we just try to, it has to be this way, you have to push, but sometimes it's better to just, like, flow and just let things happen.
How quick did that thing kind of come together with Beyonce?
It was pretty quick. I can't talk about it too much, but
because that was the summer of 2015, and
Yeah.
obviously 16 was Formation.
right. So yeah, we did Global Citizen and Made in America. Made in America was my first show, and yeah,
And that was where
it was like,
that was where you said you went from playing in like 150 people to tens of thousands.
yeah, it was crazy. It was really a lot.
Talk about the I guess the physical preparation of like having to practice, having to do all that, but like for you the mental preparation
Yeah.
of all right, this is what it is. I have to be ready. I have to be able to prepare for this.
I mean, it was crazy. I had stage fright. I had really bad stage fright, and so I had to like practice a lot to get over that. And so I would like come in to rehearsals every morning before anybody got there, just practice in front of the mirrors and like study Michael Jackson and Prince. And like, okay, I'm a rock star, you know, like I got this, you know.
You got that guitar. Look at yeah.
You know, so yeah, because like when I was going through my jazz phase, I think especially because I was in high school, and you know, in high school you're super like self-conscious and you're like,
Yeah.
what do people think about me? I gotta be cool or whatever. And so I just kind of went through this like paralyzing phase, and then when I got this opportunity, I was like, okay, I gotta just let that go, and like here it is, you know. So I had to practice a lot, but now it's like when I got on stage, actually before I get on stage now, I have like this weird like pain that goes through my hands, and I kind of like feel it going through my body, and then when I get on stage it just disappears and everything's like amazing, and it's like, yeah, and then I turn into that, you know, whatever.
Oh, we're seeing the picture.
Person.
We're seeing the pictures of that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we're pulling up the pictures here from you playing with Beyonce at Coachella. I think we also have the video and a link that you had on your Instagram of being able to play that. It's just, does that moment, anytime you're on stage with her and anyone else, with Kehlani, or does the moments go fast or slow?
It goes really quickly, because you know, as much as you know any show gets put together, you know, it takes time to prepare, and you know, you're practicing it, okay, let's get this right, or you know, you're going over it and over again, and then you get an hour and a half to perform the show, and the adrenaline's rushing and everything happens so quickly, and you know, it's really fun, but it goes pretty quickly.
See, crazy, you went from zero to Beyonce real quick.
Yeah, which is really funny, because I feel like, I was thinking about this the other day, I feel like sometimes, you know, when you're trying to push really hard to get something, you like hit a wall, but if you just like let go, things will just like come to you.
Yeah.
You know?
We had the video up. Juliet, play that video. I want people to be able to hear. I mean, look at that. How much of this is practice for you versus just going in the flow and being like, you know what? Yeah, we're just doing this.
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's, you have to find that like emotion within you,
Yeah.
and like pull it out at that moment. Actually, in that clip, my string broke on stage. Yeah. So I was like, halfway through, I was like, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to make this through. And I made it through. Like, somehow, I think there was like something, I don't know what happened, but my string broke. So.
And you don't have any time to process it.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, well, I hope I can end the solo right. And it was weird because the fingering that I normally play, I didn't play that, but it was right. So it was some sort of...
Because there's obviously 6 strings on a guitar. One, do you remember which one went out?
It didn't even break. Like, it didn't even snap. I don't know what happened. It's like, it just
loose.
like went loose. And so it was a high E string. And so... yeah, I was just like, what is going on? What the heck? But I made it through.
Do you change octaves then? Do you change the thing?
I just went with it. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept going with it. I mean,
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was crazy. I mean, and I think that's the cool part about shows is that it's just unpredictable and like things happen and you just have to figure out how to deal with them, and that's just like a really cool, I mean, it's really scary sometimes, but it's really cool because it's like, okay, it makes it really special,
Yeah, people, they don't realize, for that, anyone listening to that, even anyone listening to this clip, they're like, oh yeah, everything went perfect. Everything was perfect. Do you think there's a lot of things that I'm sure happen whenever you're performing, no matter where you're performing, that things happen that maybe you notice that nobody else does?
Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes things will happen on stage during any show, and people will be, and I'll tell people after, yo, did you hear this? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? It sounded great. And I'm like, okay, shouldn't have brought it up then.
Yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I meant previously there was...
Right, like last show.
Yeah. Working with, obviously, an incredible superstar like Beyonce, working with an incredible superstar like Kehlani, and working with Machine Gun Kelly, what do you learn from them about the way that they go about their music? Are you constantly trying to pick things up, or are you constantly being like, how are they, maneuvering their careers and their singing and their music? What have you learned from them? Maybe both about music, but also about life.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for every team. Just like, I don't know, keep pushing. I think the people that I've worked with are very true to themselves. And I think that's really, really inspiring because, whoever they are, like, literally flaws and all. It's just like, whoever you are, that is who that person is on steroids, And it's like, and especially Kehlani. I love Kehlani because we're both from the Bay and we're the same age. And she's just so, like, honest and raw, and it just is what it is, and I think in today's culture everything's like photoshopped or like whatever, and everybody thinks they have to reach this unrealistic standard of beauty, or and I think that can get down on that can make people down, and I think someone like Kehlani just brings the truth out and is confident in that and inspires a lot of people.
What would you say is the biggest way you've grown in the last 3 years?
Whoa, that's a big question. I think that I've grown a lot in terms of, just like I was talking about, in terms of just being like vulnerable and being okay with making mistakes in front of people, and like I don't have to be so perfect. And I think 3 years ago, like, every little thing that was just a little bit wrong, I just would have had a breakdown, and I don't know where that like perfectionist mentality came from, but yeah, I think I've learned to kind of just realize that like vulnerability and flaws is really what makes people beautiful. And so I'm just trying to really live to my fullest potential, honesty, all that.
Do you ever look back 3 years ago and think of where you were at your mom's house before all of this?
I don't really, actually. Maybe I should. I'm so hard on myself. Sometimes I just forget, like, that. But yeah, it's really cool to take a step back and realize, like, wow, 3 years ago I was there, And I'm still, because I feel like I'm still pushing. You know?
Oh, of course.
I feel like I'm still on that journey.
You got another song coming out in the next month?
Yeah, which
Very
is really
exciting.
exciting because I'm going to be singing on it, and nobody's ever heard me sing, which kind of ties back to me being vulnerable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People know me as Simone, the guitarist, but as an artist, people don't really know me. People don't know, like, you know, my fears and, like, my strengths and my weaknesses and all that. So
Did people, if they tried to typecast you as just doing guitar, and like, is that an easy rut to get into?
Yeah.
When you're good at something like that and be like, I literally could do this as a career and just play guitar, but you want more.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult, but I feel like everybody has a different journey, and I think looking back, like, my journey, like, I'm so proud of it, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to take this journey of, you know, playing guitar for amazing people, you know, and I've learned so much from that. And so now I'm just, you know, kind of shifting gears a little bit and kind of, you know.
And I think it's important to enjoy those times.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
If you look at that and be like, oh, I wouldn't take this job with this big artist because
Yeah.
it's not allowing me to sing. That's not the right
Yeah.
attitude. You can grow in this thing. You can do this for a couple years. People think like doing something for 2 years, they're like, 2 years? And then when you get through 2 years, you're like, that was just 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially people, you know, when they're young and starting out, they I want something now. They want the home run.
Yeah.
Without thinking, you can also score if you hit single and then
Yeah.
advance to second base, advance to third base, and then you hit the home run.
Definitely.
You got a big fan in the chat, by the way. Scott Boswell says, wow, I hope she starts her own rock band one day.
Oh, is this a comment?
That's a comment,
what?
and it's a comment in the live chat. I'm looking at here. We have a live chat
really?
going on. Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
We got a number of people in here.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, so rock band in your future?
Yeah, I mean, soon I'll be, you know, performing my music
Mm-hmm.
and influences of rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely I'm excited about embarking on this journey and, like, sharing my heart with the world.
What do you think is the biggest thing that separates people who have a passion and are good at something, and when they hit that wall of maybe they're living on the couch for 4 months or nobody's calling and what's going on, from moving forward versus taking a turn and doing something else?
Persistence. I think that is the key. Have you ever read the War of Art?
I have not.
Oh, you gotta read it.
Put it on.
It's such a good book. If any of you artists that are out there, you should totally check out The War of Art.
I'm literally putting it right now in my notes. The War of Art.
And it talks about resistance and how every artist goes through resistance, which is basically whatever you're supposed to do, whatever, like, your intuition is telling you, whatever your calling is, there's always going to be resistance, and resistance comes in so many different forms, and it kind of goes through all the forms of resistance, but the biggest one is fear. And so, like, reading this book, I've kind of, like, I looked in my life and I'm like, you know what, I am really afraid of this, or I am really afraid of this, and whatever you're afraid of, or wherever you see the most resistance, that's where you need to push the hardest. So resistance could be like, I don't want to get up in the morning at 8 and go to the gym because I need to be in shape to do what I need to do, and you're just, like, laying in bed. That's resistance, you know? So I think it's just doing this, just practicing your craft every single day, even on the days that you feel like you don't have inspiration, you still do it, you know?
Yeah. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Last night, yesterday I told myself I was going to go to the gym or do a workout, and I didn't do it. And literally, I was watching Jack Ryan on Amazon, the new show with Jim Halpert, and it was 1:30 in the morning, and I was still watching it. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to do some cardio. And I got my cardio machine. I did it 1:30 in the morning.
Yes, I love it.
And I was like, gonna do it. I just did it. I was a little tired today, but yeah. And I think when you make it through the hard days, the easy days are a piece of cake.
Yeah, and then it makes the reward that much better. It's like those days that I did not want to get out of bed, like, I did it, you know? And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get out of bed because it's like you don't know where that day's going to lead you. You don't know when someone's going to notice you or how hard you've been working. And you just have to be okay with, like, maybe that day won't come. But I love this so much that I'm going to do it even when I don't feel like doing it. Or I'm going to do it even if people don't notice that I'm doing it. Like, I think that's really important.
Yeah, people want the opportunity, and then they're like, oh, I want to be able to prove myself when the opportunity comes. You're proving yourself far before that opportunity.
Yeah, every single day to yourself. Like, nobody has to know about it, you know?
Yeah, you're proving and you're laying the foundation.
Yeah.
So when someone comes and says, what have you done? You don't say, well, let me start now and prove it to you. You say, here's my days that I've done. Every single day I've done this. I've practiced. How often do you practice nowadays?
It really depends. Guitar?
Yeah.
It
singing,
depends.
Music.
I mean, I'm doing music every single day, whether that's production, whether that's writing or playing guitar. I'm doing something musical every day. And actually, when I first started playing guitar, I made a pact to myself that I was going to play guitar every single day, and regardless of how busy I was. So even if, like, I didn't have any time to practice that day, right before I went to sleep, I would, like, practice for 5 minutes, you know, and just, like, as long as I touched the guitar. And I think I did that for, like, 4 years. Yeah, every single day.
It's like 1,400 days.
Yeah, I practiced every single day, and so I kind of try to follow that with my music. It's cool. It's kind of hard though, because I'm trying to do so much. I'm trying to, like, write and produce and play guitar and sing and all this. So it's like a whole bunch of different things coming together. But I definitely, like, create every day, you know?
What's your definition of success?
I think it's just being truly happy. Like, really, truly happy to the point where, like, anybody, like, that it just doesn't matter to anybody. You're just, like, truly, you have that, like, man, I'm just so happy right now, and you can live to your fullest. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they need like, once I get this, I'll be happy. Once I get this, I'll be happy. But I feel like if you can't be happy, like, right where you are right in this minute, then you won't ever be happy, because it, you know, things are always going to go wrong. And even if you get that house that you really want, you know, you still have to mow the lawn, figure out how to mow the lawn. Man, my lawn looks horrible, but I have this house, you know? Yeah. So I just think it's really important to just be really happy.
Yeah. If you put your happiness in things and they get taken away, and then you're not happy anymore.
Yeah.
It's for joy. Finally, what advice do you have for the younger people, and I'll say to yourself, what advice do you have for the 10-year-old Simone, the 11-year-old Simone who is just now picking up guitar, or the Simone who's, you know, working on her craft in high school, and yourself when you're living on the couch? What advice do you have for people who are just now getting in or trying to break in?
One would be to always follow your heart. Like, again, no matter what the circumstances are, or, like, what reality tells you, like, you can always make it work if you love something enough. So just, like, keep pushing and always follow your heart, because I feel like your heart's like a compass. But the advice that I would give my 10-year-old self would be to just, like, let go a little bit. Like, you don't have to be so perfect. Like, it's okay to mess up. It's like, that's just a part of life. And I think sometimes people that are so hard on themselves, like, get in the way of themselves, you know? And so I found, like, I was getting in the way of myself, which is why I feel like you said in the past 3 years, how have you grown? So I feel like I'm starting to learn that lesson.
That's incredible. And we can't wait in the next month. Follow her again on Instagram and on Twitter. On Instagram at Francesca Simone. On Twitter at Simone on Guitar. Because in the next month you're releasing a new song with your singing. That's so exciting.
Yes.
Can't wait. And as we're going out, we're listening to your song right now, Still, which is incredible. And I think it's amazing what you're doing, because not a lot of people who are really trained guitarists who are doing this genre and playing in this style as well as singing. So it's incredible.
Thank you.
Very inspired. Thank you so much for coming on,
helping
us kick off season 4.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for joining in. So much of you in the live chat. Again, thank you so much. And so many people have left amazing comments and ratings on our iTunes podcast. So thankful for every one of you guys. Go check those out. Go subscribe. Again, if you're in the car, just throw on one of our past episodes. It definitely passed the time, give you some inspiration, some motivation. And we are just beginning here with season 4 of I Could Never Be here on Popcorn Talk. I have so many actors, athletes, musicians, people in business coming up. incredible stories for you guys, just to be able to help you inspire and help you reach your own dreams. Again, Michael Clouse, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at The Only MC, and certainly Popcorn Talk Network at The Popcorn Talk on Instagram and on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.